So let's talk about what a gospel presentation might look like to this new younger generation, teenagers and young adults who are struggling to maybe find a new identity or to live into a new identity. And they are feeling anxious or they're struggling or they're going through depression and they are stressed out in a world that is pulling them in 1,000 different directions, and they are struggling to understand what truth looks like or what their truth looks like. And in this world, they see a struggle. So I'm going to share a gospel presentation, and I want to give credit to the influences of a few people, especially Dr. James Chung, who is a professor that has put content out in YouTube. He's also put a course on Seminary Now, which I think is really helpful and good. And then I'm going to sort of share some of my thoughts and present the presentation in a similar way that he has. So I don't want to take this and simply try to present it as myself. There are influences from Tim Keller, from James Chung, and many, many more of professors and teachers over the years that have contributed to this. But I want to share those few names in particular because I think the images that they give are very powerful and helpful. So if I was going to present the gospel to a young person today, one of the things that I would talk about is the fact that there initially was this world that was created. The world came to being, and whether it was through a big bang or whether it was through creation process, we know that most religions have this idea of a world that was presented, and this world was in some way designed for good. And in fact, people were intended for good, and they had this place that was created for them to live in, and people were connected to each other, and there was an initial goodness that was longed for and we were designed for. And we can kind of agree that we think that there was some type of initial good and some type of action or actor that brought forth this world into goodness. And we might call that God, the creator. And as the design of creation was for good, it became broken and damaged. And as the world became damaged, the world itself became damaged, whether it was environmentally, whether it was through different power structures and systems that were broken. And all of a sudden, humanity itself, not only the world was broken, but human relationships were broken, and we were separated from each other. And we might call this separation and damage evil. Evil damaged the world. And whether it was through personalities and individuals seeking the power, whether it was principalities and power structures, sometimes we might personify that in the devil or Satan. Whatever it is, we know that there is evil in this world and that this world has been damaged and human relationships themselves have been damaged. So how do we fix that? Well, we've tried to fix it by ourselves over and over again, but the chaos and the evil of this world seems to be too great, too powerful for us to be able to overcome it ourselves. That is where the faith message of God seeking to restore all things in Jesus through the life, death, and resurrection of Christ. We believe that that has happened, and that is God's pursuit in the world. That is from the beginning of the story of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, throughout the Exodus of Moses, even through the stories of the prophets and the people of God in Israel, to Jesus himself coming and living and dying on the cross and being resurrected. And through his story, God seeks to restore all things. So God has called us to himself through Jesus Christ. And he has offered us a new identity in Christ and a relationship to God through Christ. And that relationship, now that he has given us, he has called us and sent us to heal the world together through Christ. And that this is God's restoration plan for all of humanity. A world that once was good that has been damaged, and relationships that were once good that have been damaged and broken. God seeks to heal it and restore it through Christ and through Christ's followers and through communities of faith. And where this leaves us is problems are too large or too big for us to be able to restore it ourselves. So we're forced to confront the challenge. How do we fix the world? How do we fix ourselves? How do we recreate an identity that makes sense? And Jesus gives us, and Christianity gives us, an invitation that is open for all. And the challenge is with Jesus. Can we accept that new identity? Does it make sense? Is it good? Is it true? Is it real? Is it beautiful? And as we go through, we have to ask questions of people. You know, what is their spiritual background? What is their spiritual journey? And then how can we share that story, the story of Christian faith? What is it like to share that story about the Christian faith? And then if they have a spiritual background and they would like and be open to us sharing our story, we need to learn how to share our story in this way. And then if they say no, we have to honor that and remain a faithful presence in their lives and pray that one day they might be open to us sharing this Christian faith with them because they see the beauty in it, because they see the good that has come out of it. They see the identity that we are trying to live out as Christ followers. And by doing that, perhaps one day they will open up for us to present the story of God that we have seen in our lives. That's what we would consider a gospel presentation. And that's how we might live it out and share it within a world that is broken. This is the gospel presentation that we think resonates in a world of brokenness, seeking to recreate its identity, and individuals who are trying to seek new identities. They can receive a new identity in Christ that is very powerful and healing, not only for them, but for the world. And that leaves them challenged with not us, but with Jesus himself and what he offers them.